What is up, Steelers Nation? Thank you so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. I'm Noah Streckbein, joined always by my main man, Jacob Punturi. Find us on youtube.com/All Steelers Talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. The Pittsburgh Steelers made the move we've all been waiting for yesterday, and that is TJ Watt signing his extension before training camp, ending the drama, ending the trade calls, going through it all. I spoke to as many people as I can over the last couple of hours just to kind of get some insight on how things went down, how quickly things moved. If the Pittsburgh Steelers really were going to make a phone call and say, we're trading TJ Watt to so-and-so, I'll explain all that and more, but it's a good one here in good old Jessup, Pennsylvania. I am headed back to the city of Pittsburgh tomorrow. I'm not going to lie, man. I will be the first one to admit that you spend too much time in Pittsburgh. You're in Pittsburgh for a couple of months. By the end of the season, I'm like, man, get me the hell out of this city. I don't want to be here right now. This is brutal. You leave it for 3-4 days. All you're thinking about is going back. You're like, man, dude, I need my city deer. I need my back porch. I need the red, gross crack pigeons that are flying around downtown Pittsburgh. I need them all. I miss them. I hope it's good there. How you feeling, my friend?
Feeling good. I'll echo the same sentiments there as a native Pittsburgher. There are some times where you're like, I just really need to get out for just a minute. But as soon as you do, you're like, oh, man, this city's perfect. I can't wait to be back. So we will welcome you back with open arms. The city misses you as well, my friend. But I'm feeling good going into the weekend. Feeling just as jazzed up, feeling just as excited coming off of this huge news of the TJ Watt extension. So, I mean, everything's good over here, brother. Can't complain.
That's good. I'm glad to hear. I will start with TJ Watt, and obviously the biggest news. We'll dive into what's next, the Juwan Jennings for Calvin Austin trade that we were supposed to talk about yesterday. But first, I kind of want to give a little bit of a background of things that were going on and what I've learned over, the last couple of hours, not even 24 hours. I think it's been like 12. And if we're being honest, I passed out at like 10:30 last night. Like I was beat. I am an old man. Everybody knows this. And, I work on a tight schedule. So I only had a couple hours to find all the information that I needed to find out. Thought it was pretty interesting. Things came together rather quickly, but it seems as if it was just the Pittsburgh Steelers and TJ kind of coming to an understanding of, okay, 5 years is probably off the table. What's the give and take for both sides? And the Pittsburgh Steelers said the give and take on our side is we'll give you better than Myles Garrett because you earned and deserve better than Myles Garrett. That's exactly how the Steelers felt. That's exactly how TJ Watt felt. And that's how they should feel. TJ is better than Myles Garrett. We've said that a million times, and I will continue to reiterate that sentiment. The Steelers side of it was, you got to beat Myles. We'll make sure you beat Myles. We'll make sure that your guaranteed gets as close to the number that you want it to be, although we can't get it to Myles Garrett. And I think TJ understood that one. I think he came to an agreement on his side to say, okay, where does it draw the line of I'm asking for too much? And I think 5 years is too much. I think this sets them up into a place where TJ's not getting a fully guaranteed deal, which I think sets the wrong tone in the NFL, and they weren't going to do that anyways. The Steelers on their side of things locked down a player for an amount of time that they feel really confident in, that they feel 3 years for TJ Watt is exactly what he should be getting right now. And then we decide on his future, and he decides on his future after that 3 years is over. And then on the TJ Watt side of things, it's the, okay, 5 years is definitely pushing it, and I will need to figure out another contract, but we'll figure that out when it comes, because right now I'm getting a boatload of guaranteed money and things seem to be okay. So once they came to that understanding, once both sides just said, look, we got to put our heads down, and this is the most important thing. And I wrote the story this morning, and I said it yesterday as well. It's that both sides have this is not a we want to win the business decision move. This was an offseason of TJ's pissed because DK Metcalf got a boatload of money, record-breaking historical money in Pittsburgh. And he said, that's not fair. I've been here forever. I've been your best player forever. Pay me. And not that they haven't paid him, but that he deserves to be paid again. when it was all said and done, the end goal was make sure TJ's here for training camp so that they could win a Super Bowl. And I think once that became a reality, once they got close enough where it said, look, let's, we're not as far away as the media is making it seem.
Mhm.
It just became how do we get there and how do we cross the finish line? And it happened rather quickly from my understanding. Now the trade side of things is I got laughed at, okay, over text. So, a bunch of laughing emojis, but I took it as a laugh. And when asked if the Steelers were seriously considering trading TJ Watt, they got one phone call from my understanding that they got a bunch of phone calls. They got one phone call as of recent for TJ Watt, and it was from an NFC team, and their response was, we're good. And again, and this is just, from sources, that conversation lasted less than 45 seconds. Omar Khan was on the phone with whoever called asking about TJ Watt. So the trade stuff maybe a little bit overblown. I think we knew that all along. Steelers wanted to get this done. They got it done. It's been a while. It's been a couple of hours since we've been on here when the news broke. And I think the biggest thing there is we got hit with it in the middle of a podcast. So our reactions were live, which was awesome. That was a great time. You had some time to let it settle. You had your morning coffee, or for you, your morning Alani. How what's your thoughts? Has anything changed now that you had time to reflect on the whole situation?
Not really. I think this is an excellent deal for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't think there's any real way to sort of parse it out any other way. There's no real point of view that I will agree with that will criticize this, even if you don't like the deal. I don't care. I think this is incredible for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Getting him on those 3 years guaranteed is the best piece of business they could have done. You know that he's going to be productive, if healthy, knock on wood, for all 3 of those years. And you know that you are going to be getting the best defensive player on your team for those 3 years. And what I really, really like, well, now that I've had some time to sit with this, is that each side sort of made a concession here. And I think that that is sort of the best indication of how on board this entire team organization from the top down is on the goal of a Super Bowl in 2025. TJ Watt got what he wanted in tons of ways. He is the highest non-quarterback. He's the highest paid non-quarterback ever. He is getting paid a higher annual average salary than everyone else in the league non-quarterback. And the Steelers did not have to guarantee him that dreaded 4th year that we talked about so much. They don't have to worry about, a 5-year contract expiring when he's 35 years old. They don't have to have any of these huge risks. The places that the Steelers could have fallen into a trap, they avoided. So, and they still were able to make a concession to give TJ Watt what he wanted by making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. So for both sides to make a concession to get this deal done, and for, as you said, for this timeline to go from, they're so far apart. Everything we're hearing, everything we're reporting is that they are not anywhere close to a deal. And then in the matter of about 24 hours, it is just completely done, signed, sealed, delivered. So great piece of business again. And I think it is an excellent deal overall for both sides.
I 100% agree. I've said I spoke with my dad last night. He was the first person that I got to talk to about the situation. And, even he was like, didn't think it was going to be as good for the Steelers side business wise as it turned out to be. And I think that's very significant. So what's next? That's the biggest question when it comes to the Pittsburgh Steelers is what is next? They have 2 glaring holes, safety and wide receiver, obviously offensive tackle, but we don't think that door is open. We have shut that one a while ago. What do you see the Steelers doing next? Where do you see them going from here? They have, and the numbers are not out yet. We're still kind of waiting on the exacts for TJ Watt's contract of what the cap hit every year is. I believe this year it's going to be just over $30 million, which is a massive cap hit. But that leaves the Steelers with just about $10 million in spending money. That is not a lot of money. They're going to look to bring probably about $5 million into the regular season just in case. Leaves them with about $5 million plus some if they could rework some contracts. And, you could always create more cap space. You're not going to create $30 million of cap space, but you might be able to create another 5 to 10. What's your next move for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Where do you see them going next?
Yeah, and I think it's very important to remember that all of the final details of the contract have not come out, so this projected cap space is likely to change in the coming days. But what this, about, let's call it 10, 12, 15 million, somewhere in that range, allows the Steelers the flexibility to do is to bring in Justin Simmons. And I think the next move that they're going to make is a debate between, do the Steelers make any move, and the other option being, do they bring in Justin Simmons? Because I think last year with the Atlanta Falcons, he made about $7.5 million, if I'm remembering correctly. I think a $5 million, $4 million deal, something like that, easily brings him in the door, especially with the opportunity to start. And
Yeah.
so I think the debate internally, if I had to guess right now for the Steelers, is, do we finally sit and be quiet? And do we just go into training camp as is and then make adjustments and evaluate from there? Or do we have one more swing left in us? Do we go get Justin Simmons because we know we can afford him still, and we just wrap up all of this offseason roster overhaul, and then we finally can put a lid on all of the offseason moves, all of the roster adjustments, and just head into training camp? So I'm going to make a little bit of a prediction that I think a safety move is happening, and I think Justin Simmons is going to come to the Steelers here pretty soon, and that is what I expect to be the next move. But I think the debate is, do we just stand pat at this point and just see what we have on the field before we make any other moves? Do you disagree?
No, I think a safety is next. I kind of look at Omar Khan right now, and maybe I'm off, but I don't know. Just like knowing Omar, watching the little glances and the little smirks that he gives during these situations, like, to me, I kind of picture, and this is just me, Omar sitting in his office with his little smirk on, just going like, "Oh yeah, they think we're done. They think we're done," And he's on the phone right now with Justin Simmons' agent. He's on the phone right now with Julian Blackmon's agent or Jordan Whitehead's agent or whoever. It's just looking to say, we got one more. You know what I mean? We're not done. Your training camp's not till Wednesday, and that means we have plenty of time to get something done before we step on the field at St. Vincent College. We're gonna get something done. That's Omar's an aggressive dude, man. Omar is a GM that goes out and he gets what he wants. And you've seen that. Like, there's never been a move that we have talked about where Omar has just like failed to get it done, right? I mean, unless I'm totally wrong, it's hard to sit here and say, remember that one time Omar Khan wanted to do this and couldn't do it? Brandon Ayuk, that was the one time.
Mm-hmm.
That Omar like chased it and failed. Besides that, when he locks into something, it feels like it gets done. And it kind of feels like this is the offseason. This is not another team that he's battling with to say, oh, we have to come up with some trade. This is a signing for Justin Simmons. This is a signing for Julian Blackmon. This is a signing for again, Jordan Whitehead or whoever. Mm-hmm. And I just look at it and say, Omar right now has got to be pretty fired up to be able to go do that. And I think that this almost motivated him to go get it done, because that's the other side of it. Is I don't think the Steelers view themselves as anything less than a Super Bowl team right now. And to do that, they're going to go out and they're going to make a move to say, there are no more holes. Maybe Jonnu Smith's our wide receiver too. Maybe Calvin Austin's our wide receiver too. And maybe that could be better, but there are no holes. There's no we need a safety because we don't have a third safety or we don't have a starting safety. We have a bunch of misfits who are probably starters in the NFL competing for wide receiver too, but that's it. That's all we've got looking heading into training camp. I could see Justin Simmons being the next move, and I could see it happening quick. And I agree with you. I think like $5 million gets the deal done at this point. I don't think it's much crazier than that. But I do think that just about $5 million could make a deal. Do you think, on the other side, because we'll talk Calvin Austin, Juan Jennings here in a minute, do you think that a splash wide receiver trade, because I don't think you could afford Terry McLaurin. I think that's like so far-fetched, but maybe. Do you think that the Steelers even have that on their board where Omar Khan's sitting there with the giant math equation trying to figure out how to do it? Do you even think that's a thought right now?
I mean, yes, I think it's a thought for sure. The one overarching theme that I think I have learned and am taking away from this offseason is how efficiently Omar Khan pursues what he wants in silence. There are a lot of league or a lot of general managers, organizations within the league who are not able to keep a tight lid on what they're doing and how they're going about it. Omar Khan is the complete opposite. This man, again, so much happens in a very quick timeline, and that is the news cycle of the current environment or something. I understand that, but it seems like the Omar Khan has been so unpredictable, and as soon as we feel like we have him locked in and we have a grasp on the pattern on which he is pursuing players or the overall look he's trying to bring to the Steelers, he goes in a completely different direction. So I think, of course, he's having this thought. I think he's he's more logical, smarter than us in terms of understanding how the cap situation could impact any of these moves. But to sit here and say that he's just like, what, I'm tapped out for the year, I did it all, I think would be vastly underestimating one of the most cunning general managers in the league in Omar Khan.
Yeah. I look at Omar again, like I'm going to go back to the smirk, but he's kind of like a mad scientist, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's just trying to figure it out. If Washington started making phone calls, I could see Omar engaging in a conversation. That's where I think that goes, is if Washington calls Pittsburgh, there's a conversation to be had. Omar's going to have that conversation. The Steelers calling Washington, I think, may be a little bit far-fetched for them to say, like, hey, we don't actually have the cap space, but, let's have a conversation. Let's see what it would cost for Terry McLaurin. I don't think that's where they're at. I think if Washington started, because again, that's how it starts. People say, well, Washington wouldn't call teams. The Steelers called so many teams in the NFL trying to trade George Pickens to say, hey, what's the value of George Pickens? What could we give for him? And then they eventually traded him. Teams call teams looking for trade value and to see what they can get. And if the Steelers are that hungry, Washington's going to call. I could see that one. The more realistic one is Juwan Jennings, who we brought up yesterday. We'll reiterate again today because, my gosh. Bleacher Report's Alex K came up with the idea that the 49ers and the Steelers can make a wide receiver trade. He said this, quote, Pittsburgh is flush with draft capital next year, having added a day 2 pick from the Dallas Cowboys to the coffers during the Pickens trade. That 2026 third rounder could be leveraged as part of a package that springs Jennings free from San Francisco, especially if the Steelers are willing to part with a replacement receiver in the deal. Giving up that selection from Dallas and Calvin Austin III, a promising 2022 fourth rounder who has largely underwhelmed during his time with the Steelers and needs a change of scenery. I said this yesterday. I'll say it again. Needs a change of scenery. Should be enough to convince the 49ers to move on if they refuse to extend Jennings. Jennings is coming off a 975-yard season, his best as a pro. Saying Calvin Austin needs a change of scenery is redonkulous. Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a bad take. It's just a really bad take to say Calvin Austin needs a change of scenery when he hasn't had a quarterback like anybody else has stardom, but the Steelers love the guy. The Steelers want him to be part of this. 28 years old, as Juwan Jennings just turned 28, wants a new contract. We'll start with Calvin Austin. We'll break it down from there into how realistic an actual trade can be. But would you give up Calvin Austin for Juwan Jennings? I think I asked you this yesterday as TJ got signed. So I don't think we got an answer, but we'll go through it today. Would you sign it? Would it even be on the table?
No, that's an awful trade for the Steelers, in my opinion. I thoroughly disagree with the idea that Calvin Austin needs a fresh start. Calvin Austin is very well respected by the Steelers. They value him highly. Their wide receivers coach literally called him their wide receiver 2 earlier this summer. So if that is the means for a change of scenery, then I guess you and I do too, because we complement each other too much. So I don't know what that means. So I think it's ridiculous to even have a conversation about Calvin Austin needing a change of scenery. Even more ridiculous is the fact that a third round pick plus Calvin Austin, who he refers to as a replacement level wide receiver, would be such a wildly huge give up for the Steelers to bring in Juwan Jennings. A third round pick, sure. I guess I wouldn't give up Calvin Austin to bring in Jawan Jennings, but I could see like a worse performing wide receiver being a part of the deal with like a 6th round pick or like a 5th round pick with like a 7th coming back to the Steelers. But for the Steelers to give up a promising young wide receiver, a 3rd round pick, which they have made great value on over the past couple of years under Omar Khan, would be like, for me, I feel like that would be like saying you're going to give up like would you give up a 2nd round pick straight up for Jawan Jennings? I wouldn't do that.
No chance.
But I think the value of a 3rd round pick plus Calvin Austin is like somewhat equal to that. And so in my mind, that's like the weird mathematical computation I'm doing to get to, hell no, I would not make that trade at all for Jawan Jennings, especially when he needs a new contract.
I wouldn't even give him a 3rd round pick. I'd start the negotiations as a 6th and next year's 5th. That's what I'd put on the table for. What has he done? He's got 975 yards in one season. Do you want to know what the year before that was? It was like 280 yards. Like, I get it. Jawan Jennings might be good, and I like Jawan Jennings, and I think Jawan Jennings would come to Pittsburgh and fit in so well. I really do. I think he's got so much upside. There is a line to be drawn between just going out to get a wide receiver and making a dumb trade and making a good trade that adds value to your offense at the same time. And the Steelers would be so far beyond the line. It'd be crazy to go out and get Jawan Jennings for, even if it was just a 3rd round pick, just a 3rd round pick in 2 months. In 2 months, we might be talking about Chris Olave getting moved for a 3rd round pick. And you're telling me Jawan Jennings is in the same, but he's not even close. He's not even remotely close to the same talent level. I get it, injuries, but I don't care. He's got one good year. You don't do that for a guy who's got one good year. It doesn't matter, especially giving up Calvin. Like, I still like Calvin. I remember talking to a scout the year Calvin got drafted. It was actually like almost immediately after he got drafted. I got a text from a scout saying this guy should have went in the 2nd round. And I was like, that's kind of nuts. That's the talent level that he's got. Now, has he put it on the field? Nobody's had moments. He's had moments where Calvin Austin has caught the football and made some crazy play. And we're going, wow, man, dude, if he had a quarterback, he'd probably be doing that all the time. I still remember watching him run slants and stand open in the middle of the field. Like Pat Freiermuth, they were like pals out there, just like throwing a picnic, having a party because Russ was nowhere to be found looking at them. He was staring George Pickens down from a mile away. Like, he's just never had.
Or Zach Frazier's nameplate.
That's exactly what it was. Like, it just doesn't. I would never. I think Calvin Austin for Jawan Jennings straight up is almost a trade that adds value, equal value to both teams. And I wouldn't do that. Like, I just wouldn't do that. Now, a 4th round pick, a 5th round pick, we could have a conversation. I think a 4th is still high for Jawan Jennings. I think 5th is good, especially if you're going to have to pay him. But I'm not. There's like almost no part. There's a 0% part of me that would make this deal for Jawan Jennings.
It would look so stupid to, like, there's no world where Jawan Jennings is as good as a wide receiver as George Pickens right now, right? Like, and that, right. So the Steelers, parted with George Pickens for a 3rd round pick. So you're telling me they would give up a 3rd round pick plus a roster player to bring in a worse wide receiver? That just makes zero sense to me. And the part you mentioned about like the Chris Olave, we could be, I agree with you 100%. If it's not Chris Olave, insert another name here. I think we're going to be talking about how the wide receiver trade market became so diluted, in a couple of months, that people were going way undervalued for way less than we thought. So for the Steelers to be quote unquote aggressive now and to give up even more for less production, less worthy of a player, for more money to be spent in a couple of months with a new contract, I think is just asinine. So no, don't like it. Don't want to see it happen at all.
What would you sign Jennings to if he showed up in Pittsburgh?
Well, what do I actually think he's worth? I like seven, like
you were Omar.
$16 to $18 million per season. I would feel comfortable with that. Yeah. But I don't think that would be something he would even entertain in a contract negotiation. I feel like the wide receiver market is sort of reaching this crossroads where like the trade market, like I just said, is so it's not good. It doesn't take a lot to acquire them, but then to re-sign them takes astronomical amount of salary cap space. So it's just like there's such a weird like dichotomy there of like, what do you do? Like, I wouldn't pay Jennings more than $20 million a year, but I don't think he's even worth more than realistically like 15 or 16. You know, the 18 felt a little high to me as I was saying it.
Would you? No, I agree. Before we start answering questions, put it out there. Your Steelers week 1, last two. Your Steelers week 1. What are the what's the team look like that it doesn't look like right now? What's the difference between today and week 1?
Oof. Where things sit right now, I think the difference between today and week 1 is another veteran free agent addition. I think Gabe Davis probably comes onto the roster if he gets that clean bill of health.
Yeah.
I don't think the Steelers, again, I really do not think the Steelers are going to expend any sort of assets, especially draft capital, to bring in another wide receiver between now and week 1 of the regular season. So I think it's more likely that a free agent comes in and then they're constantly evaluating, where the trade markets are, where Chris Olave, Juwan Jennings, et cetera, are, with the plans of making a deal maybe a couple weeks into the regular season if the free agent additions, the Calvin Austins, the Roman Wilsons, don't perform as expected once the regular season opens.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think Gabe Davis is the best bet still where we sit today. I just do. I think that when he's healthy and ready and the Steelers go into it, they'll just say, yeah, Robert Woods is good. He's fine. But if we could replace Robert Woods with Gabe Davis, that's totally cool too. We feel pretty okay about that. I don't think Amari Cooper is the name to watch. I don't think Keenan Allen's the name to watch. I think it's just Gabe Davis right now. I think it's Gabe Davis and then the field of guys that we don't know yet, because Juwan Jennings, cool. And Juwan Jennings could ramp up. Like, it could get so serious that the 49ers are going, no, because they do that. They get you want to talk dramatic. They are dramatic with their contract extensions. I could see that ramping up. But if I had to guess, it's Gabe Davis. And if I had to guess the trade that comes, I don't think we even have the name yet. I don't think that the name is even on the market today as we start training camp. I think it's a week, 2, 3, 4 weeks away from being up there when you're going, wow, dude, can't believe the Steelers are getting this guy. And that's where I think we'll be before week 1 of the regular season. All right. With that said, that's everything on our agenda this morning. We're going to take a quick break. On the other side of it, we're going to start answering all your questions, so make sure you're tossing them in the chat. We will be right back.
Pittsburgh, this one's for you. From the voices behind all Steelers talk comes Black and Gold apparel, your go-to for bold, fan-driven merch that reps the city, the Steelers, and everything in between. Whether you bleed black and gold or just love that Pittsburgh grit, we've got something for you. It's more than a podcast. It's a community. And thanks to your support, we're proud to bring the passion from our mics to your closets. Gear up, stand out, and show the world what real fans look like. Shop now at blackandgoldapparel.myshopify.com.
All righty. Shout out to all of our members. Shout out to our super chatter. Shout out to everybody who's in the chat yesterday. It was a great episode. If you missed that and we hit the news live, go check it out. What are you laughing at?
Just how fun yesterday was.
100% laughing at Marlon here saying, can we at least say the Steelers' last 2 quarterback searches have been on par with Jake Scott's fights? Is that what you were laughing at? Is that
no, I genuinely was laughing at how much fun I had yesterday on the show, but that did make me laugh even more. So thank you, Marlon.
Shout out to Marlon. Rec 7 here. I'm hyped for TJ like I got paid. Let's go. Yeah, it does kind of feel like I also made $123 million over 3 years. Does also kind of feel that way.
Did that steak taste like it last night? I think we're all wondering.
It didn't. Thought it was gonna. Didn't. I think the cake afterwards did. I think the cake, nice little raspberry white chocolate cake for sure. Yeah, stomach wasn't feeling it this morning, though. We woke up this morning going,
no. The tummy rumbles?
Yeah, I was like, man, dude,
no.
TJ's steak definitely tasted a lot better than, definitely sat a little bit better than mine. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. Egyptian Cobb salad here. I truly believe the Steelers are not trading any of our receivers. The vibe of this team seems different and less distracted. Good year, I believe. I think that's 2 really good points. Like, the Steelers this year had a very straightforward goal of, this is our year to build a team that is not dramatic, that is not focused on themselves. We're not looking for people flipping over Gatorade things and yelling at fans. And, we're looking for quarterbacks who know how to be quarterbacks, who aren't going to sit there and just be like, yeah, the 7th string tight end is also a huge factor in our offense after you lose 40-0. Like that's not what they were looking for. They were looking for a football team that's focused on winning the Super Bowl that gives them the best opportunity to do so. I think they've accomplished that. I really do. I feel really good about the Steelers locker room right now and where it is. I feel better about it today than I felt about it in a couple of years. And I don't think that they're trading away a wide receiver. I think that it would be so wild to get rid of Calvin Austin or Roman Wilson or anybody this offseason. I just truly think that the Steelers have their team. They're going to try to add 2 more pieces to it at least, and then they're going to go from there. Do you feel different?
No, I agree 100%. I'm a big believer in Calvin Austin and what Roman Wilson might be able to do, more so Calvin Austin right now, to be perfectly honest. But I think getting rid of either of them right now does not benefit the team whatsoever. And I think the vibe of this team is different. While you were talking, Noah, I was kind of thinking about our conversation, with Warren Sharp the other day, where we were talking about, the frustrations that Aaron Rodgers can sometimes show whenever the offense doesn't get moving early in the game. Some of the frustration DK Metcalf shows whenever the Seahawks were not sort of moving the ball well. I think about some of the times where TJ Watt gets the most frustrated, and it all is geared around winning, about the team's success. And it feels like the frustrations that were coming out a lot last year and maybe in years past were about individual failures. And you could see how much it was affecting one person whenever something wasn't happening. When someone was playing hero ball, we were seeing how all of the different pieces of the defense were kind of suffering because of it. When George Pickens wasn't getting the ball enough, we saw how much it impacted just him more so than everyone else on the offense. This group that they have will still be a fiery one, will still be a very dedicated to winning team, but it's all about that goal of winning, and the frustration that will come out of it is going to be all surrounding how the team's success or lack thereof. So it makes me excited to see that this is a team that is so dedicated to team success and winning, that is the collective goal. And that does feel very different from some of the rosters of the past couple of years. So I'm curious to see if that translates onto the field once the play actually starts. But from where I sit right now, the vibes certainly do feel good.
Yeah. Big Jell-O hot dog salad. I don't even know what that is. Fantastic. Formerly known as Big Al. Go ahead. You got
I was gonna say, have we seen strawberry pretzel salad pop into have we seen one of those yet? That's what I've been waiting for.
Pretzel's a good one, dude. A good old feta Greek salad is something. We got a lot. We're getting real creative before we go. I haven't even seen a Caesar on here yet. We haven't even had a Caesar salad. Formerly known as Big Al. Would you guys agree with me and say that Chase Claypool would be a scary gunner? I don't think I would agree with you. I don't. I hear what you're coming from. And that's the craziest part about Chase Claypool is coming in. I mean, I still remember dude, Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, you swear they never even watched Chase Claypool play offensive football. They were just like, dude, his special teams, man, unbelievable. Best special team player I've ever seen in my history of scouting for the NFL. That's essentially what it was. And then he showed up and you're just like, dude, this guy doesn't give you 100% ever and isn't putting in the effort on special teams, which eventually led to why he was leaving. So like, yeah, in theory, he should be. The dude's massive and crazy fast. Did not put it out there, which again is nuts because coming into it, like I heard this dude is a worker. This dude grinds. Didn't see that. You definitely didn't see that once he got to the NFL. Things change, money changes people. Maybe an injury sets it back to a place where he's more realistic about it. I don't know. But I don't think Chase Claypool will come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No. I agree with that for sure. That length is so ideal, especially with the speed that he has. Like he would be a perfect gunner. It would be so nice, but it's just never been there. It's never been on tape. It's never been productive on the field, and he really showed no interest in playing special teams when he was with the Steelers the first go around. And I think it is very, very rare for the Steelers to take second chances on players. We've talked about that before, and I think especially with Chase Claypool, who left the team very unceremoniously. Like it's not like they were like, oh, this was like the most difficult decision for our team. We were just so loaded at wide receiver. We had to make this move. They were like, don't let the door hit you, So I don't think that there's like a lot of goodwill being given to him for a second go around if that happens. Maybe he's, I hope he's changed, and I hope that maybe he gets an opportunity somewhere else, just not with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be Pittsburgh, and I agree. Like you look at him on paper, man, that guy is a spitting image of what a great NFL player should be. It didn't happen, man. It didn't happen. Egyptian Cobb salad. Once again, think TJ will send me a check for the hole in my wall. By the way, wife is still pissed. Yeah, I hope so, man. He's got the money to spend. He can afford a little spackle and some drywall. I think it'll be okay.
Just like a little Home Depot gift card, courtesy of Mr. Trent Jordan Watt, please.
It's all it would take, man. That's all it would take. I would hope so. I'll let him know. When I see him on Wednesday, I'll be like, hey, TJ, by the way, dude, Egyptian Cobb salad, put a hole in his wall. He was just wondering if you could send him a couple $100. You know what I mean? That's like scrap change. That's what you probably tipped the waiter last night. So you should be able to afford that one. Shout out. You live in Pittsburgh, brother, and Wisconsin. You could afford these things. That's the craziest part to me of the whole situation is you could sit here and be like, oh, that's a ridiculous amount of money, but so-and-so makes so much money. TJ's homes in this country are Wisconsin and Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which are not expensive places to live. Like this dude could buy a $2 million home in Pittsburgh, and it probably has a spaceship included in it. Right. Like it's insane. And it's not like we live in Highland Park where houses are expensive for no reason. TJ is not living in Highland Park. His house is in the middle of nowhere with the rest of the NFL players who live in Pittsburgh. And it probably has a freaking spaceship in the backyard because that's what comes with it. Like $123 million, dude. I bet you he spends $400,000 of that in the next 3 years. Unbelievable, man. Shout out to TJ. Worth every penny. Every penny. Jared Brooks, happy Friday, Steelers Nation. We got TJ Watt locked down. Omar Khan is keeping it trucking with all these moves, and I think he's going to keep it trucking as well. I think more is coming by Wednesday. I don't know what it is. If I had to guess, he plays defense. But also, I'm not going to shut down the possibility that Jalen Ramsey's a safety in Pittsburgh. Do I think that that's the case? Not yet, but I want to see it. But yeah, I think there's more coming. I do think that there is more coming. Heard at practice, Noah, next time we need another big signing, you need to plan something personal in your life so the deal gets done. Another concert equals star safety. If they sign Justin Simmons tonight, I will be pissed. I'm not going to lie, because not only am I going to a concert on Friday night right after TJ gets signed and something else is going to happen, but I'm also like technically the reporter / editor on duty, which means I will be at this concert with a laptop. That is not a joke. That will be that is actually what will happen. And if that happens, you will catch me writing news in the middle of a Zach Bryan concert. So that is there's a possibility for sure. For sure. And I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? This is the life I chose to live and I enjoy it.
You can bring a laptop into a concert?
We're going to try. We are going to try our best, my friend.
All right.
It's got to happen, man. It's
got to happen. Yeah.
Like, how the operation runs, brother. And on Friday nights, you want to know who gets the news? No Shrek button. So and it is Friday night. So I don't pick the dates of the Zach Bryan concert. They pick themselves. We're just there. Macaroni salad, the picnic pack / salad crew on the rise. AST Nation. Shout out, man. You guys are making it fun. Let me tell you, we're having a good time here on Good Old All Steelers Talk this week. It's a good time. It's a good time. Grayson the Ginger. I agree with Jacob 100%. TJ getting paid now will help the Steelers in the long run and screws over the Cowgirls and the Bungles. Here we go. Go ahead. I'll let you riff on that one.
I was going to say I can maybe bust out my Jerry Jones impression again because, he's just so pissed right now. He's like, I got to pay Mark Parsons $50 million now. Darn tootin'. So, I bet he's pissed. Yeah, and I love this. The Bengals are done. Trey Hendrickson's not going to be a Bengal. It's just not going to happen. they're not going to be able to pay him. Shamar Stewart's going to re-enter the draft. Their whole organization might be underwater now because of the signing. The Cowboys are absolutely done for as far as the Micah Parsons deal. And Micah, if you hear this, good friend of the show, I know. You're going 50 plus, my friend. Go for it. And don't stop till you get it. Don't stop till you get it. To quote the great Michael Jackson, don't stop till you get enough. Come on.
I think we had 100 comments yesterday of people just being like, Jacob's Jerry Jones impression was the greatest thing ever. So shout out. Justin Gordon here. I don't think a big money wide receiver will be signed because we only have Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, 2 times big money wide receivers, and a rookie quarterback could be bad. Trade deadline, a wide receiver if guys can't rise up. Right now, that's where I sit. Is Gabe Davis is easy money, and the Steelers will be looking easy money. You know, like they've had the pieces. That's what they've done, is set themselves up to say, we don't need to go get Chris Olave. It'd be great, but we don't need him. Gabe Davis just helps the situation. If they could upgrade some of these depth guys, I think it works, you know, and upgrade them well. That's the thing, is last year, in years past, you're like upgrading guys for Van Jefferson and Allen Robinson, and it's just not getting the job done. You know, you upgrade for a Gabe Davis who's 26 years old, and maybe he catches 5 touchdowns and only has 400 or 500 yards, but he still catches 5 touchdowns. That's okay. You know, you have these pieces while DK and Jonnu and Pat Fryermuth and all these guys are, you know, the bigger pieces to the puzzle. So I don't think a big money wide receiver right now, like Juwan Jennings is not a big money wide receiver in my head. I think in 2 years, he'll be so cheap. It's crazy. Chris Olave is a big money wide receiver who comes with questions for sure. But if I had to guess, I think the Steelers feel the same way as you, is let's see what we got. And Gabe Davis seems pretty okay if that's where we need to turn.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I just think a lot of the talk over this offseason, I think what's been lost is that I really do think the Steelers highly value Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson in a way that maybe the fan base doesn't yet. You know, it hasn't been on the field, you know, to speak to that. Like 550 receiving yards last year, or whatever it was for Calvin Austin, like, is a sign of progress. Sure, I was very impressed with the leap that happened, but it doesn't exactly instill the most optimism in him being the wide receiver too. I can understand the hesitation about that, but I do really believe that the Steelers love both of these players and see them stepping into and growing into wide receiver 2 like roles. So I think for them to go out and acquire so quickly another big money wide receiver to pair with DK Metcalf that could possibly stunt the growth of these 2 wide receivers that they feel can keep progressing really doesn't add up with the plan. So again, it leads all back to, you know, a Gabe Davis signing. And then if it blows up, you know, the Steelers have shown over the past couple of years they're willing to make a deal before the trade deadline. Omar Khan is the man. He's a sneaky MFer. So he's going to go out and get the player that they need and go out and do what needs to be done. But for the time being, I think they're going to kind of just stand pat, bring in minor adjustments, and kind of go from there.
I agree. Egyptian Cobb Sal, last one. How many sacks will this squad get? TJ, JJ, Cam, Derek Harmon. Sorry. I was like, watch kids name code next door for 4 hours straight last night. Fantastic, dude. Fantastic. I mean, I don't think JJ is going to be there, but that would be awesome. But I mean, I don't know. The Steelers I could see as a 45-50 sack team this season. Plus, you know, TJ is going to move around. That's the biggest part of this, is people are like, well, TJ fella, just wait till TJ's lined up on the right side this season and has 2 sacks from the right side in week 1. And everybody's going, all right, well, he's back. We're here. He did it. Sounds good. I don't know. What's your over under on sacks this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I would say like 47.5. Like I would push it closer to 50. They if they are not a top sack team, it's a sort of a failure in some ways. You know, that's would have to be taken in context, sure. But when you have your star edge rusher extended, you have Alex Highsmith, Nick Herbig, maybe Jack Sawyer gets involved a little bit. You have this super deep middle linebacking core, and then your front, the first line of defense is just maybe the best and strongest it's looked in several years. So they better be getting after that quarterback. So 47.5 might bump that number a little bit higher or lower closer to the season, but this should be a high sack total for the Steelers this year.
I'm taking the over. Marlon
Love
Lewis here. Chris Carter stopped by live, and I told him that Noah is the man. Appreciate the info as always, buddy. I appreciate you. Appreciate Chris Carter as well. That is my guy right there. Good dude. Shout out. Congratulations to my brother. He just got married the other day. Hope he's enjoying his time. I don't know if he's doing honeymoon before training camp, after training camp. This man, Chris Carter, okay? I was not at the wedding, say that, but he was at mine. I still love him. He still loves me. This man threw a wedding and then threw a party the day after the wedding. Yeah, that's what I said. That's what I was like, bro, I couldn't see straight for like 2 days after the wedding. I had nothing in me. We were running on EE. There was nothing for a week. I gave everything I could to that wedding. I had no more sweat to sweat. That's where we were. Shirts, pretty much water by the end of the night. That's all it was. So I shout out, dude. Shout out my guy, Chris Carter. Hope he's doing well. Love him as always. Big Jello hot dog salad. Screw it and sign the GOAT, Sammy Coates. While we're at it, might as well get Marcus Wheaton over here as well and just keep it trucking.
Give me Lima Swede.
Dude. Dree Archer. All day. Guy should have been the original Calvin Austin. He was, he was just ahead of his time, like Cordell. Yeah. Running back. Come on. That guy was 400 or ran a 4.040 and weighed 102 pounds. Play wide receiver. Maddie, gonna ask again, do you think we can realistically get Terry McLaurin now that we signed TJ? What do you guys think of the Colorado quarterback Caden Salter coming out? I don't know much about Caden Salter, to be honest with you. Do you?
Is he at Colorado? I thought he transferred.
I think that's what she means by coming out. Transfer.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I was gonna say I thought he was at Liberty, or like made like a random move. But he's I don't know too much about him, to be quite. I'm gonna look him up, and make sure I'm not talking out of my butt.
Yeah, dude, up Terry McLaurin, man. I wish I could say yes, but I just don't think realistically he's on the Steelers' radar right now. And I don't think they could afford him without really like being in a pickle where they've had to make they'll have to make some serious moves to create the cap space, because you're looking at a $30 million hit this year, roughly. And even if Washington takes on a lot of it, it's not going to be cheap. You're not going to get it to the 5. So I think, if we're being realistic, the answer is no. Their big splash wide receiver signing was DK Metcalf, and I think they're going to keep it to just DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Okay. No, he is in Colorado. Thank you. He transferred from Liberty to Colorado. Gotcha. Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, I think the deal probably eliminates a Terry McLaurin trade for the time being. It's just a really heavy cap hit to kind of include and make fit. Anything's possible. I will maintain the salary cap is like a fake thing. Money's not real in the NFL. They can make it work if it was like the only way to do it, but I just don't think that it is the juice is worth the squeeze right now. And there is really, if the $10 million roughly, give or take, is the salary cap space right now, it would be a nearly impossible task to make that contract work. Eager to see what Caden Salter does in Colorado. See if Coach Prime can kind of get him up. I feel
Coach Prime.
He certainly was not in my like top 5 to 10, but now that Coach Prime doesn't have the greatest quarterback of all time, his son, in the program, it might be. He might be able to show him the ropes a little bit here. So I'm excited to see. I love watching Deion Sanders coach, man. Dude's incredible.
13-12, brother.
13-12.
Shout out Shedeur Sanders. Nate Moore, if they add a Gabe Davis / Amari Cooper, does that close the door for a higher quality receiver that may be looking to relocate later in the season? That would be dependent on if Amari and Gabe fill the role. Like if Gabe Davis and Amari Cooper have 500 yards at the trade deadline, yeah, it does shut the door on another wide receiver addition, because you don't need one. Now, if they have 150 yards, I don't think so. I think that the door is still very much so open. I think it's also open for them to be traded, and for the Steelers to move on from them before the season really gets going. So I think it would depend on how they're playing come the trade deadline. I think it does close the door on, let's say, Chris Olave becomes available again. The Steelers aren't in that conversation the next time if they sign one of these guys beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, the door's open for sure. Like Omar Khan's constantly evaluating, but I do think, like Noah said, if they bring a veteran in and he fills the role, why why waste your time going after and bringing in someone else? You don't need extra bodies just to have them. But yeah, I think a trade's still possible for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Got a couple that are kind of looped together here. Can Calvin Austin really ascend to wide receiver 2 status? He's so small. That goes to Maddie's here. Should we just see what we have in the guys we have? These guys can't succeed if we bring in guys to take their jobs. Pulling for Calvin Austin. And I believe that David's got another one. Should we give Calvin Austin a true shot at wide receiver 2? He has climbed each year with subpar quarterback play, contract year, and on the last year's tape, he's wide open on so many ways and is overlooked. I think Calvin Austin is too small to be a wide receiver 2. I don't think he's too small to be a wide receiver 3 or really a 2B in the slot, which I think is still a starting position. And I think depending on how you use your wide receivers, your slot guy could be utilized way more than your second outside guy. And I think that the Steelers have the opportunity to do that. I think Calvin Austin's a stud, man. Like, I think Calvin Austin's got so much more to give to the NFL. I think he plays way bigger than he is. Until he starts getting banged up, I'm not really worried about the size. He makes big man catches constantly. I don't think his size is more of an issue than just a paper issue. Just well, he's tiny. Okay, well, yeah. So was Julian Edelman and Wes Welker, but they made it work, and I think these guys could. If he played small, I'd be worried about him, but he doesn't play small. I don't know if I'd say he's a wide receiver 2, but I think he's a wide receiver 2B. And I feel pretty confident about that. Like, I think that he's an excuse to go out and just say, Roman Wilson and Gabe Davis are fine. They're good enough for what we have.
Yeah, I think this just gives me another chance to, continue banging the drum here. I think Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson deserve a shot to fill in these roles. I think they have the talent and the skill set, and we've seen flashes. I don't know for sure. I'm not willing to, bet the house on Calvin Austin being a wide receiver 2. I think he probably tops out at like a wide receiver 3 that kind of borders on being a wide receiver 2 at his best. But I mean, to me, that's a 700-yard and 800-yard wide receiver. And I think that's great. If you have someone like a DK Metcalf continuing to haul in tons of passes, 50, 60, 70 receptions and 1,000 yards plus, like, you don't need another guy to be doing the same exact thing. You're going to need an offense that's more spread out, that has people playing different roles. And I think Calvin Austin and Roman Wilson can certainly fit into those spots. I love Calvin Austin. I cheer for Calvin Austin. I agree with you that I think he plays much bigger than he is. I was surprised when I met him, because he seems, again, he's listed at 5'8" or whatever, but like on the field, he certainly doesn't look like a 5'8" player. He makes plays that 5'8" players should not. And I think he deserves a chance to be the wide receiver 2. If he flounders, if he flops, all right, you tried. It's great. But like, I think he has done enough and continued to progress enough throughout his career to have earned a greater opportunity to be that number 2.
I agree. Justin Gordon here. I'm here at Zach Bryan tonight. Generator text, shout out my guy. You see, I will be wearing this hat, okay? If you see me walk around with the good old Jessup Loans Club and a laptop, say what's good, brother. Say what's good. Appreciate you. Hope you have a good time. Hope you get to enjoy it. I know you'll be working, but I hope that you get to enjoy it. I'm pretty excited for it for sure. Cole Slot, Steelers are going to be fire this year. The con artist has 1 or 2 moves left in them. Let's get it all salad talk nation. Pitts, hashtag picnic pack. Hashtag the picnic pack. Shout out. Love you guys. Can't say it enough. Just great way to start. Great way to start the Friday. Great way to start the Friday. Anti-pasta. Wow. Wow.
That is so seriously too, like it was his name. Like Mr. Pasta has a question here.
I didn't know. It didn't catch. Wow. I got chills right now. I have chills. Now that we've signed TJ, do we sign Justin Simmons or do we wait to see how Juan Thornhill or Jalen work out? What's the chances we show up to training camp on Thursday? Which I want to answer lifted ones here. When does training camp start? It starts on Thursday. Arrival is Wednesday. So I'll be up there on Wednesday and then keep it trucking on Thursday with actual analysis. Jacob, we're still waiting on approval for both of us, but
cool.
We'll both be up there for many training camp practices. And I will ask, do you think that there's a chance Thursday rolls around and Jalen Ramsey's playing safety?
Yes, there's a chance. I think it's very small. I think I would be very surprised if he opens up any sort of, walkthroughs as the safety. I expect to see him in the cornerback group to start. Maybe he's getting some side work, some slight work in the safety drills, with the safety position. But I think it's less of a chance that he just immediately steps into that position when he arrives at training camp. I do think there is a better chance, though, of the Steelers standing pat. I think, as much as we talked about the Steelers having a couple more moves in them, I think that's a very likely option as well. I think we have to kind of respect the fact that maybe Omar Khan's just done for a couple weeks. And if that's the case, I could see them going in and wanting to see how Juan Thornhill, takes to being the starter here. And then maybe they immediately try Jalen Ramsey in that role right after. So there's a chance. I think it's smaller. I'll call it like 10%.
10%. I think it's a little bit higher than 10, but I agree with you. I think there's more of a chance that he's on the outside and that Darius Slay's like the 3. And I feel so good about that, man. I feel so good about what that can be. Carl Spackler here, t-shirt idea. TJ Watt, better by miles. Cross out the I in miles and put a Y. I absolutely love it, man. I absolutely love it. Shout out to TJ getting this deal done so that we can focus on the real things, which is t-shirt designs. Brandon here. Noah, Jacob, did you guys send out the giveaway t-shirts? And if the other didn't answer, I'm more than happy to get the polo. Everybody answered. The shirts are going out potentially today if I have time to get them to. If not, Monday. They'll be there by the end of next week. Just a lot of travel, but they're on the way for sure. And actually, it'll take a little bit longer for the t-shirts. For anybody who's getting t-shirts, they're made per order. So once that order is finished, which they're working on it now, it'll be shipped out. But they'll be there. Didn't forget about you. They're coming for sure. Any chance, Pittsburgh Hornets, is there any chance we can see JJ now for a game or two for a brotherly competition? No, I wish, but no. Last year, maybe. This year, no. Would be awesome. Name more. How long is the GM's career? Can't waste Omar Khan in his prime. And where would you rank Omar out of the other 32 GMs? Do you think Omar Khan's a top 5 GM after this offseason?
100%. Yeah. It's hard for me to see too many general managers being above him right now. I don't know. Do you know that do you have like an answer to like an average length of a GM's career? I feel like the Steelers.
Kevin Colbert was like 20 years. It was insane.
Yeah.
He was here for almost 20 years. So it's a while. In Pittsburgh, it could be a lifetime. Omar is young. He's got some little kids. Like he's just a new dad. He's got a whole life ahead of him. I think it depends on how long you could eat the food that they give you before you have to get on a diet, because GMs, man, go look at Kevin Colbert. That guy dropped 40 pounds in a season. It was insane. He looks great. It's just about how long you could succeed. So if they succeed, it could be a long, long time, man. Bill Belichick did it forever with the New England Patriots. So you could get 20 years out of Omar Khan. I think that's a real thing. And I agree with you. I do think he's top 5 for sure. I think he's top 5. NBA bubble. Do you think it's weird that a defensive head coach needs all this help on defense? Player wise, no. I think a defensive minded head coach with, if you put Kyle Shanahan with Christian McCaffrey and Brock Purdy and Brandon Ayuk and George Kittle, good things happen, as they did. And I think it's the same thing with Mike Tomlin. You give him Jalen Ramsey and TJ Watt and Cam Hayward and Alex Highsmith and Patrick Queen and Joey Porter Jr. and all these guys, I think good things should happen. Now, I'm not the highest on Mike Tomlin being a good play caller anymore, but I do think it's out there. And no, I don't. So to answer, no, I don't think it's strange to have this loaded of a defense for a defensive-minded head coach.
No, not at all. I think, better rosters yield better results in a very simplistic reduction way of viewing the rosters. But I think something that I've come to the conclusion of is that, yes, Mike Tomlin is defined, his reputation is as a defensive-minded coach. That is certainly where he got his start. But this man has been the head coach of the Steelers for 20 years or whatever it's been. And it has been, the game has evolved and changed so much. the William and Mary defensive backs coach that broke into the NFL as one of the most impressive up and coming coaches is now a middle-aged man who has seen the NFL game change immensely over these past 2 decades. I don't think he's the same quote unquote like defensive mind that he was when he was that rising coach. It's not a bad thing. It's not a criticism of where Tomlin is now. I just think his role and responsibility has shifted so much from I call the defense, I let my offensive coordinator run the rest, to now he's like assistant GM, you know what I mean? Like he's involved in all of the draft picks, the personnel decisions in a lot of ways. He's not just the defensive coordinator who's also the head coach. He needs a lot of help. It's a full team effort. So none of it is weird to me. It would be weird to me if like Terrell Austin was constructing the entire defense with no input from Mike Tomlin, you know, but how things work right now
sometimes.
Yeah, sure. Right now, it's not that weird to me.
I agree. Carl Spackler, aka Waldorf salad, unbelievable, unbelievable macaroni salad. Check out the song I sent to your email. I will for sure. David, any chance you can get a player to join the podcast? Seems like guys like getting out here, Kuntz, Cam, etc. Definitely. The only problem is that those guys make some pretty good money outside of maybe Christian Kuntz because it's his own podcast doing the podcast. And as much as I would love to say, here's everything we make on YouTube, you know, we got people to pay and bills to pay on top of it. So could be tough. Would it be awesome? For sure. For sure. But you know what I mean? Me and Jacob combined are like half a quarter of a player. So we're pretty close. We're pretty close. American Steel, do you think it's awesome that TJ got 108 guaranteed and has 108 sacks? Coincidence? I think not. Pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Sticking with that real quick here. Pittsburgh Hornets, do you think Micah Parsons makes after – what do you think Micah Parsons makes after TJ? Should the Bungles give up on Hendrickson and maybe the season the second part, yeah, probably. I don't think Hendrickson gets paid in Cincinnati. I think he ends up elsewhere. Mike, I think, makes a minimum of $45 million a year. I think that's where the starting point is for Micah Parsons.
Yep, bang on. Agreed 100% regarding Parsons. I think the Bengals, unfortunately, well, you know, not that I feel bad. I got a little tiny violin for them, but they're not going to be able to sign Hendrickson to any sort of deal that he wants. So yeah, they're in a tough place. I'm curious to see how that all plays out, where he ends up. I don't see it being Cincinnati, but yeah, I think 45 million is like the minimum now for Micah Parsons. And again, this is a crazy number, but like he's gonna ask for 50. I don't know. The Cowboys won't give it to him, but he's gonna ask for 50. We're gonna see reports about how he's asking for $50 million a year. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I agree. I think it starts at 45. I think a realistic number is like $45-46 million a year, which immediately makes Miles and TJ look cheap. Mm-hmm. The best part about the NFL, man, is that everybody's free. You can't pay this guy this much money next season. Nothing. Zero. It will look like literally nothing. 2 start bench cuts here. Pierogies, pastrami, or Heinz ketchup. I actually know this one. Okay. And people are going to get mad at me, but I'm going to defend myself right off the bat. Okay. I'm starting pierogies. Great. What are we even doing here? I'm benching pastrami, one of the best meats. I'm sorry, dude. Heinz ketchup's awesome. It really is. It really, really is. Okay. But if I had to go the rest of my life without pierogies or the rest of my life without Heinz ketchup, I could live without Heinz ketchup. So it's pierogies, pastrami, and it's Heinz ketchup.
Agreed 100%. Don't care if I don't have ketchup ever again in my life.
That's what I'm saying. Like I could go ketchupless. There are other dipping sauces.
We are fine. Yes.
You know, condiments are okay. If somebody's like pierogi, my sister's mom, dude, makes the greatest pierogies of all time, to the point where when I go there, like I'll be there maybe once a year, I'll see her. And the moment I walk into her house, they're already on the oven being heated up. It could be 8 a.m. She's making me pierogies and I'm eating them. Can't do it.
They're so good.
Start bench cut, expensive steakhouse edition. Eddie's Capitol Grill, Ruth Chris. Could I be really honest?
Yeah.
I think Ruth Chris is so overrated.
Really?
So overrated. I think Eddie's is pretty good, but I also think it's overrated. I think Capitol Grill is over. I'm not a big expensive steakhouse guy. Like, dude, I'm not.
we're like in sync today, Noah, because I don't really mess with like expensive steakhouses.
No.
Like I would rather like not the chain ones.
No,
Like
not
if
the
they
chain
have
ones.
multiple locations, like I don't want to go there.
Yep, exactly.
Like like I would rather have a steak from just like a small restaurant.
Yep.
And know that they got that steak earlier. They're making that shit just for me.
Yep.
And rather than it's all, you know what I mean? I haven't had a bad experience at any of those places. I just don't.
No.
There's something that doesn't like connect for me if it's like a chain, but like fine dining steakhouse. Like that's like I'm like no, that's McDonald's. You know, like you can't have more than one location. That's McDonald's.
Yes.
You gotta give me chicken nuggets now if you
That's
have
what
more
I'm
than one
saying.
location. But yeah, I mean, I love a steak, so you know, whatever.
Love a steak, dude, but I'm gonna make them. And if I'm spending money on at an expensive place, it's Italian food. I'm going to a fancy Italian restaurant. That's what. If somebody's like, you're gonna spend $85 on this meal plus a tip for one person, yeah, I'm getting pasta, and I'm gonna feel like garbage for a week, but I'm gonna do it, and it's gonna be worth every single second.
Hell yeah.
No, and Jacob, do you think this could be the best defensive group since 08? Luke Kuechly said the other day could be the best defense in the NFL. You think they got an opportunity?
Oh, they got an opportunity. I'm debating in my head how confident I feel about saying they will or won't be. The pieces are there, Marlon. There's no doubt about it. I mean, it is just I have such reverence for that 08 group. I have such a sacred place for those Super Bowl winning defenses of the aughts, and it's really hard for me to be like, yeah, they're going to do it. I think they have the pieces. I think the opportunity is there. I think this will be a very good defense. I'm not ready to commit to saying it's the best defensive group since 08. Will probably be the best performing group since the last 5 years. I'd be okay with calling.
Yeah. Oh, easily the last 5 years. I think since the last time, I think 08 was great. I think 10, that's when they were in the Super Bowl, was 10.
Yeah, when they lost to the Packers.
Yeah. I think that defense was the best defense they had under Mike Tomlin.
Defense.
And I think that this group is not there, but I think they have a shot. I do think they have a shot. Jalen Ramsey is going to play a massive role into this. That's where it kind of comes down to for me. Got a couple more here to close them out. Enigma After Dark. Jennings and Davis are not guys we would want to rely on to step in as wide receiver one role if DK has to miss a couple of games. Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper are. Why are they not in consideration? I think I disagree with the Keenan Allen and Amari Cooper are. I don't view maybe Keenan Allen. I don't view Amari Cooper as like a star in the NFL anymore. Like I just don't. I think he lost a step. I get he was dealing with injuries last year, but he's also old enough where I don't expect the bounce back to be like phenomenal. I don't look at him as like, oh, you were dealing with some stuff that slowed you down last year. Now all of a sudden you're going to be great. I just don't think I sit there with this one. Maybe Keenan Allen, but he doesn't want to come to Pittsburgh. He made that's like super clear. He said, I don't want to go to Pittsburgh. Those are his exact words. I think that you got to go cheap. Honestly, I think Juwan Jennings, I would lean on more than I'd lean on anybody else in this comment over Gabe Davis, Keenan Allen, and Amari Cooper.
For sure. Yes, I agree with that. I think all four of these wide receivers are in the same category, though. You look at them and you're like, if that's the top wide receiver we're going against, if I'm an opposing defensive coordinator and I have to figure out a way to stop any of these four guys, I'm not that worried. You know, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh man, they're really going to beat us here. We can't underestimate Keenan Allen. We can't underestimate Gabe Davis. Like that, it's just doesn't impose fear. The productivity doesn't match. None of them are wide receiver ones. Amari Cooper was for a time. Keenan Allen was for a time. It's not the case anymore. Any one of those options leaves the Steelers in the same place, in my opinion.
Yes, I kind of agree. Like, I just don't think that there's like, I think you're in a lot of trouble if that's the case, no matter what. Duranimal here. Next year's draft, most likely, almost for sure, going to be wide receiver or quarterback first round. What's your prediction for round 2? My thoughts are wide receiver. So this wide receiver 2 talk can finally end. Yeah, if I had to guess, it's wide receiver, it's offensive line or defensive line, to be honest. I think that replacing Cam Hayward is also up for consideration. Those would be my guesses: wide receiver, offensive, or defensive line.
Yeah, I'll add in, I think secondary is going to be something to watch. You know, right now it feels very secure long term, but, you know, say the Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay experiment doesn't work out too well, say Deshaun Elliott takes a step back, say Juan Thornhill doesn't really fit into a starting role, say Joey Porter Jr. doesn't earn this huge extension, then all of a sudden the secondary, which feels like a strength of the Steelers right now, could become a very high priority for the Steelers to address in the draft next year.
Yeah, I agree. 184 Outdoors. Noah, last year at training camp, we had on-field tickets, and I was right behind you or by you. Wanted to say what's up, but didn't want to distract you. Big fan of the show. I just wanted to make an announcement to everybody. You see me at training camp, you say what's good. You're not distracting me. I'm having a good time. I'd love to talk to you guys. It's my favorite part of training camp is being involved with the fans and seeing everybody out there. So don't feel like you're distracting me. I'm there doing the same thing you are, enjoying my time watching some football. Say what's up. It does, man. It makes my day. You have no idea. Hollywood 319. How does it feel to know Khan finally waited till you went live to drop some news? No, I want to give a big shout out to Omar Khan. I will be at dinner with him next week, potentially. Still haven't got the invite to that one, actually. Maybe I pissed him off this offseason. We'll see what happens. And I will make sure that I tell him thank you for the first time, and we'll finish it off with Hurt at practice. 13 days, 9 hours, 50 minutes to the first game of the year. How wild is that? We are here. We've made it. It's a good time, and I'm fired up about it. And with that said, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Oh, you know who's in the chat.
Oh, no way.
Oh, man. Good
Oh,
old
man.
Nicholas Belsky here. The Jessup Loans Club is elite. Almost time for those long morning drives to Latrobe. My brother, hope you're good. We all miss you. And we know you're kicking ass out there. Glad that you're
Belsky, you're the man.
The man, dude.
The man, dude.
What a way to end it on this Friday. What a way to end it. With that, we're heading out of here. Thank you guys so much for jumping on to another episode of All Steelers Talk. Make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/All Steelers Talk. Check us out anywhere you get your podcasts. And as always, find all of our work at si.com/NFL/Steelers. We will be back on Monday with plenty of training camp previews in front of us. With that said, enjoy another beautiful day in the Berg. Peace.